PJ here from the editing room, and I just wanted to let you know that I am bringing this full interview with Jim Hall that was over on the SoloRolePlayers Patreon. On the free version, you could go and listen to the full thing over there, and I put it there because I had combined parts of the interview with the actual play. The other week, it was an experiment. I had fun. I don't know how other people liked it, but there was some stuff that we talked about in this that Jim Hall has just now announced and has become relevant. And so it's about upcoming stuff with Beetle Knight. And so I wanted to, just put this here to make it a little bit easier to access if you didn't yet manage to make it over to the Patreon to check that out. If you do go to the Patreon to check it out, there is still the extended play of the Beetle Knight over there, which is an extra, I think, 30 minutes or so of the play if you're still interested. Anyway, this is my interview with Jim Hall from Brooklet Games, all about Beetle Knight. And at the end of the episode, if you want to skip towards that, say the last 15 minutes or so, you can hear about what's coming up in the wonderful world of Beetle Knight. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to the Solo Role Players podcast. I'm your host PJ, and today on the show I am buzzing to bring you the creator of the bug-sized role-playing game Beetle Knight, this adorable little game. Jim Hall, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Pleasure to be here.
I'm really, really excited to talk to you about Beetle Knight today. I've been talking about this game on the show now for the last couple of months since I got it in my little Kickstarter bundle and been mentioning it from time to time. I've since finally had the chance to sit down and play a few sessions of it solo. Had a really great time. I'm keen to talk all about that. But first, what I wanted to do is what we usually do here is I generally find everyone in this hobby has some story of how they discovered RPGs and got into this space in the first place. Jim Hall, what is your story?
I mean, it probably started with like video games and stuff. So I often trace it back to like playing Myst and Riven. If you ever played those games.
I did. Myst was one of the very early games I played as well.
Yeah. In particular, on the Riven, there was like a 5 CD game or something absurd like that. And they had a making of Myst video on that. And so they went through their process of designing the puzzles and designing the maps. And I became obsessed and started designing like locations for a video game that never was. I was so excited about it. I even like wrote to the creators, and they wrote me a very nice,
really
rubber stamp letter back. But like,
oh, that's so cool.
It was really cool. So a lot of this creative energy comes from that sort of play. And then I didn't play when I was young. I was just never exposed to it. But then in college, we played a few sessions. We were probably a little too wild to play it. But then when I moved here to Michigan, I live in Michigan, there was a sign-up sheet at a local game store. I've always wanted to like get into like a deeper campaign, so I signed up, and 6 months later, I was playing with a bunch of strangers, and this was just D&D 5e.
Yeah.
So I played one time, and I was obsessed, and immediately started planning a game that I played with my wife and my brother, and we brought in a couple other people, and ever since then it's been just a huge part of my life. It's kind of crazy how big of a part of my life it became.
Yeah. Can I just stop you there for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember, I mean, a little while ago now, since we were all in college, but do you remember the feeling of it grabbing you that first time you played, and why that was? Or what about it was the thing that made you realize this is different from video games?
I mean, the first session was just so wide open. The amount of decisions that you had to make in any given moment it's just completely wide open. After a couple sessions, there was a particular session where the DM wasn't prepared at all. But he's like, hey, we got a couple hours. Let's just roll with it. And we were just it's like jazz where you just like, it's a give and take, and you wind up like creating these situations together, and that energy is super fun. I love to bring that to the table and try to capture that spirit. But I mean, it's nothing new. You've probably heard it 1,000 times.
It doesn't get old though.
No, but just that being able to make any decision and go in any direction is really incredible. And you can make terrible mistakes like that first session. We left a sort of this monster that gobbled up living things and got bigger and bigger, and we left because we were scared. And then there's news that we hear of a giant flesh-eating monster roaming the countryside, destroying town after town because we didn't kill it like we were supposed to. So I don't know. You have these decisions that have a big impact on the world.
Yeah,
it's really fun.
Yeah, and what you say as well about that joint creation, and I do think what I hear from a lot of people is, especially that transition, and we will get into this, but that transition from going into or being introduced to solo play as well as part of the RPG experience, is a lot of people don't have that experience, or they have the experience that, especially early on, the GM is really trying to tell their story, and you're all along for the ride. And I think especially when people are young, that's often the way that it can go. So it's cool that you had in that very early experience already that collaborative storytelling thing, which to me and a lot of people in this side of the hobby is one of the key values in solo play.
Yeah, because you're playing both a character or even a few characters and the world, and so you need to be able to kind of run with anything that comes to your mind, and it's a lot of fun when you can do that. Like with the solo stuff, it was when I got exposed to the OSR kind of community, and really there were a couple people, Perplexing Ruins and Joy Peddler, that we started just talking a lot on. At the time, it was Twitter about solo play. I played this game called Foxcross by Joy Peddler, and it, I'd never really done anything like that before, and you don't need much in terms of system. I think maybe it depends on like the type of play that you want to get into, but like I think you just need a kind of a simple resolution mechanic and like an oracle. Yeah. And then some way of generating the world. But once you have those pieces in place, you can just kind of sit down and create a world and play in it.
So you've been exposed to and interested in solo for a bit longer then, and not just since making Hollow Knight. Not Hollow Knight.
Yep.
Since making Beetle Knight.
Yeah, you call it out, but Hollow Knight's definitely an influence there. But yeah. I mean, it's been since almost the beginning of COVID. So it was in 2020 when I started getting into this stuff.
Yeah. Is that also the time you started getting into design? Or rather, stepping back just a little bit, you had that first game. You then set up a group with your family. Mm-hmm. Did you jump straight into GMing then because you wanted to actually build the worlds?
I started GMing after playing D&D one time. To draw the line from that to publishing, let's see. Well, actually, I started designing board games.
Interesting.
Because I also was, am into board games. So I started designing board games, but at that same, while I was doing that, online, I was getting plugged into these role-playing game communities and saw that there was a huge community of people who were creating things and just putting it out there. So I started doing that with art, and I started making items, and I made my first adventure and it felt very much like a 5e adventure. Definitely, I was for 5e, but that entire time, I'm just learning and growing, and so the more that I started publishing, the more it became in line with the OSR type style play, but also finding my own voice as well.
Yeah.
So,
and what attracted you to the OSR side of things compared to the 5e experience that you started with?
I mean, have you read? Well, I'm sure you have. Like the 5e books they're super verbose. Like I got the Eberron book because I wanted to run something in Eberron, and you have to read a friggin' book in order to run. But and so at the same time, I'm seeing these small zines and sometimes even pamphlets. I mean, all right, Knock, the dust cover of Knock has an adventure that you can run for weeks.
Yeah.
And so why am I reading a whole book when I could use a sheet of paper or, a 24-page zine or something like that and have just as much fun? Also, those sorts of like those 5e adventures, and it goes back further, but like they're kind of prescriptive, where when you have a very simple prompt, one or two words, you have to fill in the gaps. And so it's a little bit more fluid and creative. So like now when I'm playing with the groups that I play in, I will often write just a single word or maybe 4 words to describe an encounter or a location. And the rest just comes from the play.
Yeah. That's something that I really praised when I did the recording of playing Beetle Knight, actually, was the space between things to just allow you to fill in the imagination without feeling like you're trying to follow something necessarily. That's something I really appreciated. So it makes sense you saying that and having that angle. But speaking about Beetle Knight, how did that idea come about, and what was the process of getting that started?
Well, I've had this idea for a mechanic of the contest rolls where so it really started from the mechanic or like each party rolls a die, you see which one is higher to win. And then you can change the size of the die to give yourself an advantage in the roll. So I had that idea for a mechanic. Originally, it was like a wizard duel idea that I had that I might still create at some point. I don't know. Where you have like a tower, and then you have resources, and you cast spells, and each component of the spell has a die. But it's just like kind of too crunchy, and I couldn't figure it out. So at the same time, I had been playing Hollow Knight, obviously, and my friends and I did a collaborative world building session where we created a world, and this world, all the characters were bugs on the back of this giant, continent-sized giant, but it's actually a baby, but it's still very large, swimming through an ocean of sugar water. Just zany stuff that comes up in those sorts of exercises. And so just like thematically, the idea of playing bugs was on my mind, and it started off as just a little pamphlet. Now it's a whole booklet, but it started off as just literally a pamphlet, so two sides of a piece of paper. Oh, the other thing was the artist who did the art for Settlers of the Dead God.
Oh yeah,
we were kind of riffing online, doing like bug art, and I created a piece of art that is now the cover. And I spent a very long time on that trying.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Crazy to see that zine on the other side of the world.
Yeah. So you're an artist as well, is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Interesting. I think I must have known that, if it says it here. Yeah. Writing art and layout.
Yeah. But there's also art from Perplexing Ruins, my old buddy from the scene, and a few other people. Evelyn Moreau has quite a bit of art in there. And then, while we're talking about creators, I got to shout out Daria Lefebvre, who created like most of the different bug species that you can play and most of the foes that you can play against. So she's a huge contributor.
It really is like I adore the package that you have come up with, or that eventually came out of this. Like you say, it started as a pamphlet and you're just riffing ideas and pieces of art with other people in the community and the industry. And I just adore the final package that it comes out of. And the way it's laid out, just the way everything is put together like that, I found it just really a pleasure to play through. Once I got past some of the flicking stuff and some of the holes in the bits and pieces, which are a good thing, as I said. But really, really adore what came out of this. Tell me a little bit. This is more just for my interest as well, but I don't think I've had a zine that I like the feel of as much physically, and the look of the art on the front. What's going on with this? Is it screen printed or how does it work?
Risograph printed.
What does that mean?
So a risograph printer is it's an old like office printer that they don't really make anymore. But you can put whatever color ink you want in there, and then it's like a multi-stage process. So like if you want to do a 3-color print, you put in your red, your magenta, you run it through, you put in your green, you run it through, you put in your yellow, you run it through, you put in your black, you run it through. So this is a 2-color on the cover, which is just the yellow and the black. And it was printed by a place called Smallworks in Detroit. So really small little shop, but I think they did a great job. And also the paper is, well, they helped me pick out the paper, and I just think that the texture is really great, compared to some of the other zines that I have. It's like this unfinished feeling to it, but it feels like a zine to me, as opposed to like a well-polished book like you might get from Mixam or something like that. So I appreciate you saying that, because I put a lot of thought into that aspect of the product. So.
Yeah, I really noticed it, and I think I said in the episode that it feels almost wonderfully cheap, but in a really high quality way. Like when I think of actually cheap, and some of the zines I get here, which are quite glossy and stuff, that doesn't do anything for me at all. And even though like I almost feel like the glossy thing feels cheaper now than something like this.
Right. I mean, it's literally handmade.
Yeah.
So it's I mean, it's a great quality. It has a great quality, and I love to feel it. I love to hold it. And Max Moon, you might know of them. They did 12 years.
Yeah, I've backed the second. I think the
Demon
Ocean
Lord.
one.
Yeah, so that's an even newer one. But they also had another one called Demon Lord, I think. But he screen prints the covers for all those, and also puts a lot of care into like the materials. So I was definitely thinking about that and aiming high because of the high bar that Max Moon sets on the quality.
I look forward to getting my hands on Max's stuff as well. I haven't actually played any of it, but I heard about it late, and when I saw that most recent Kickstarter come up, backed that and the original stuff as well. So I look forward to getting that, especially now that you say it's this quality as well. For better or worse, the feel of something is incredibly important to me. One of the reasons I come to this hobby instead of video games as my first choice now, and before that board games as well, and solo board games too, is that tactile feel. And I find it incredibly delightful when something just speaks to your fingers somehow,
Yeah, it's true.
And speaking of which, when I played my session, I paired the Beetle Knight, like the core rules, I guess, with the Little Fall World guide, and that's basically how I did my play. I didn't end up fully using the solo rules. I just sort of used my own system that I usually kind of use. These two books together for a solo role player are really, really fantastic. And it's interesting to me that you mentioned you started out designing board games, because one of the things that I found really useful was that procedural nature of the hex crawl exploration, and that, especially with that incredibly sweet touch of the 3 layers of the hexes. I find that really, really imaginative, and it just makes perfect sense to be like that. And just, it does create an interesting, just a different hex map, All my other hex maps, they tend to look like they could be a similar game, but this really feels like, with the twisting tunnels and stuff going up between the different layers, it really does feel like its own thing. And
if you're willing to play with the scale, if you can get over the scale discrepancies, then yes, which I can personally.
Yeah, me too, absolutely.
But yeah, that was actually, I have it handy because I knew it would come up. There's this other zine that I put out, Escape the City, which is the exact same idea, except you're escaping a city overrun by, zealots. But the idea of a zero prep crawl that you could play solo or play at the table is kind of the mechanical underpinnings of Litterfall and Escape the City. So.
How early into the design process were you considering solo? Was it always part of your consideration, or did it come later in the process?
Yeah, I mean, so after its creation, after I put out the pamphlet, Beetle Knight, I pretty much played it whenever I played solo. So I would either play that or I played Karen. And it's just like, that's what came, that was what was in my mind. And it's so easy to just roll a couple die and see which one's higher. You don't need much of a stat block. You can boil it down or spin it up. So this is what I was using. So all along, I was thinking about solo play. Elm Root Glimmer, I play tested that. That's like the adventure that comes with it. It's like the starting adventure. I play tested that with groups, but I also play tested it solo, and just because that's one way that I play, So
here's a bonus question. How do you? Because I have not yet looked at Elmroot Glimmer. I just did my. By the way, the idea to have the traits of the boss that you're looking for revealed to you as your character figures it out, and that making it true is really phenomenal for solo play, especially, or for no prep GMing. But that, to me, that was really eye-opening, and something I will probably steal or borrow in some part in the future.
I hope you do. That's awesome.
Because that is really, I mean, it's so hard to do mysteries and clues and stuff in solo, right? Because there is a fundamental mismatch there that just doesn't really work. And you can I've seen people try to, either sort of hand wave it, or you just make it a purely mechanical thing and you collect a certain number of clues or whatever it happens to be. But the fact that you are designing the boss as you go through randomly, and as you learn about it, it becomes true. Yeah, just really, really wonderful.
I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, so that came directly out of Escape the City. And at the time when I published that, I was doing a Patreon and trying to put out a adventure in a month, which is absolutely insane, and I don't recommend anyone doing that. But yeah, I was obsessed with this idea of generating a mystery for either zero prep or solo play. And you're right, it's hard to do. I don't know, you don't see it very often.
No, and this is such a simple way to tackle it, that I haven't seen done before.
You build it while you play, and paint it like a mystery.
Yeah.
And that's but the cool thing is you can start making decisions. So if you get to a place or the way that things go down, you have like multiple, each layer has a sort of target that you're going after. The top, the treetops, the litterfall, and underground. And so you can make a decision on who you want to go after you're learning some of these secrets. And so like you can actually base your decision making off of this generated content. So I don't know. It doesn't always work, but
also, and this is something I didn't realize until you just said it, but also the fact that you feel like you're gearing up to take down this villain then, and you can prepare yourself accordingly. Then one of their weaknesses essentially, or one of their strengths, and then you can kit yourself out with a different emblem or whatever, or beef up a certain stat or something while you're leveling up, whatever it happens to be, and you feel like it's like that Witcher preparation type thing,
Yeah.
You feel like you're actually learning about your enemy.
Especially because with Beetle Knight, the customization is such a like core mechanic. The game started off quite rules light. I call it rules medium now because it is a bit crunchy. But you can switch out these emblems; they give you different powers, and so if you want to like min max your character, you can. And of course, that's kind of stolen right from Hollow Knight because they have like the little badges or whatever that do different things to your character and give you different powers. So, yeah.
Just wonderful. Back to that bonus question that I thought of earlier is what is your approach to playing an adventure solo like the Elmroot Glimmer?
So one of the things with Elmroot Glimmer and some of the other adventures that I've written is that at the different locations, you can roll for what's happening there. And so even though I wrote it, I don't always know what's going to happen. And then I find surprises too. So, if things go down a certain way and you get into a big altercation in the opening scene, that's going to change the entire progression of the rest of the adventure. But I mean, I kind of go through it the same way that I normally do if I'm running it at the table, which is just go to a location, ask myself some questions about what I want to do and what I want to investigate, roll on the tables provided to see what's happening there, and then try to make some decisions off of that. I do use like a really just basic oracle. You don't need much, so just like a D6 will do you. And yeah, just kind of go from place to place like that. It's a little bit easier in a dungeon setting because then it's a little bit more straightforward. Like, okay, I have my character, we're going to explore room to room. But overworld, I kind of run the same as I run a dungeon, except rather than going room to room, you're going from location to location or scene to scene. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have any crazy insights there or anything like that. I think I do kind of a vanilla setup. But
that makes me very excited to try it though, because I didn't even look much into it. I thought I'm going to do just the basics first and then go from there. But the fact that you wrote the adventure and you do play adventures like this solo, that gives me good feelings about how this is going to be as an experience playing these things. Because it can be really hit or miss, as you probably know, playing adventures, depending on how they're laid out, even depending on which pages things are on, or Yeah. So that gives me hope.
Well, I will say that Elmroot Glimmer is more designed to be played in a group at a table, or online. So it's not as optimized as Litterfall for solo play. So I will add that.
Speaking of solo play, now you said that when you play, you tend to do it pretty simply and just roll a d6 as an oracle. The solo rules that for me came with the Kickstarter
Hmm.
I assume they're available online as well. We'll talk about that later. Designed by Matthew Morris and not Jim Hall.
That's right. Yeah.
So why did you decide to outsource the solo rules in this?
Well, I've seen some of the stuff that Matthew Morris has done before. He puts out these solo rules for various games, and so I thought, what the heck, I'll see if he would help.
Hmm.
And generally speaking, I did that a lot with this whole creating this whole set of books because, well, a lot of people have a lot of great ideas, and it'd be cool to use them and play with them and build with
Yeah.
them. So,
Absolutely, all for that. Collaboration can bring unexpected magic into things.
so with the mayhem mechanic, I think what it does is it gives you the ability to progress the tension of a game.
Yeah.
And it does that successfully, I think. So when I played with Elmroot Glimmer, I was using the Beetle of the Lonely Banner rules, the solo rules to play.
Yeah.
However, when I play Litterfall, I just kind of played it kind of straight with just a simple oracle. I think the tension is built in.
Yeah, and the procedure is there to it keeps it moving anyway,
Right. So,
Yeah, I agree with the mayhem stuff, that tension of things going up and down, like in Mythic, if you're familiar.
I haven't read it yet.
Sure, but Matthew Morris has.
Yeah. Okay.
He states it here as a inspiration as well. But that's similar. Like the chances of yes go up and down depending on how chaotic things are. And to me, I like it when it's not just static and that it feels like I don't have complete knowledge about my probability, and that it feels like that tension goes up and down. I do have, and I did talk about this a bit in the episode as well. I had an issue with the Oracle here, in that I could not figure out how it worked. And I know it's really simple, and I just couldn't get my head around it for some reason. Are you familiar enough with it to give me a lesson?
I would say no, not off the top of my head.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah, it's been a while since I played with these rules.
Yeah, no, I just found that it was, because it was asking me, that the likelihood of something would change the die value that you rolled, which I really liked because that's in line with the contest rolls that are built into the main game. I really liked that. But I don't know. When it came to deciding the challenge level, I just didn't quite get it. But maybe I was thinking only about yes or no questions and not about what kind of challenge that is.
Yeah, I mean, the way loosely that I interpret it is you do your roll and then you add a modifier to it, and that will determine the outcome. So, if you have a negative mayhem, then things are going to lean towards failure. And if you have a positive mayhem, then things are going to lean towards success.
Yes, I see. So it is actually tied to the mayhem rather than just a straight roll. Okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
So I do think it can work, but maybe it needs a little better editing than I gave to it.
I would not criticize you of anything for this game. I don't know how much was in the Kickstarter. With Kickstarters, I like to, if I see something I like the idea of, I like to back it and then not look into it anymore, so I can be happily surprised when the little package of goodness arrives. It was so delightful to see the little paper cutout bugs. That was just really, really wonderful. I didn't use them because I wasn't using a grid or anything, but I had sort of stripped down my table footprint to a single piece of paper. The hexes on one side, the character sheet on the other, and my 2 books. But I want an excuse to get the bugs out at some stage.
Yeah, those are by Evelyn Moreau, and she just had those. She's she's got a Patreon where you can back it, and then you get access to her art to use in projects.
Oh, cool.
She just had those, so we're aligned, her and I, sometimes.
That is fantastic. In March, you told me that you are putting together a Beetle Knight jam.
That's right.
What's a Beetle Knight jam?
It'll be hosted on itch, and the whole idea is it's a way to try to encourage people to try to make things for Beetle Knight, and I will be essentially on Blue Sky a lot, like showing off the various things that people make, and what I'm hoping is that it leads to some really cool pamphlets that are really easy for anyone to just buy or download and print off and run. I kind of feel like pamphlets are the perfect sort of bite-sized way of creating content for role-playing games. Just like you were saying, like you have a piece of paper, front side, back side, and ideally you can do a lot with that little bit of space.
Yeah,
so
and that design restraint as well is also really interesting, I find.
It is very fun, I find. Maybe people find it frustrating, but like just you have to cut words. That's how much you have to think about it. So yeah, that's the idea, and hopefully people engage with it, and we get a few more cool places to explore and bugs to step into and foes to fight and all that stuff. Emblems, I think people have a lot of ideas when they play the game of like, oh, we should do this. Why isn't there a Mantis class?
So the scope is pretty broad then. It could be an adventure, it could be a class, it could be a setting.
It's pretty wide open. If maybe next year, if I do it again, it can be more constrained. But yeah, I just want to see some pamphlets.
Yeah, that's really cool. I really looking forward to seeing what other imaginative things come out of this, because it's so wonderfully self-contained. I mean, we're all spoiled for options in this hobby, which is a really great thing, but a lot of them do bleed over into each other in certain ways. And then you're sort of picking between very specific types of experience from different games and stuff. And so the fact that this is so small, self-contained and imaginative, it really allows a lot of imagination in that little space. I think it's really cool. Inspired.
There was a moment when I was playing with some folks online and describing a scene. You're walking down this path and the grass is growing overhead with dappled light falling through, and the guy's like, oh wow, that really like puts me in to the bug's claws, as it were.
Yeah.
And it's fun to step into that different space.
And forces you to think differently as well, and therefore you're pulling different imaginative muscles than you usually would in your standard fantasy or whatever,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm curious to see what people create too, and I hope people engage with it. If you're interested in participating, just go on Blue Sky and follow Brooklet Games, and that's where I'll be sort of promoting it and all that stuff. So yeah.
Fantastic. Do you have any official or unofficial plans to make more content yourself for Beetle Knight, or are you just sort of letting it sit for a bit?
So actually, Daria and I are planning essentially 2 times more of Litterfall, and maybe a hardcover. We'll see. I don't know. I love printed zines too. So, but yes, there will be more official content put out.
That is excellent to hear. Jim, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I did just want to ask as well, I'll put a link in the show notes to both the drive-through page and the store, the Big Cartel store.
Yeah,
is that the best place people to buy stuff?
Yeah, if you go to brookletgames.com, there's a link to Itch, that's my digital store, and then to Big Cartel, which is my online store. Unfortunately, I only ship to the US because of BS, but
yes, I'm well aware of that, but yes.
But you can still print it or like download it from Itch, and the core book is free, and it's under Creative Commons. And so I really want people to just like play it. Like, just play it. And if you want, you can hack it and turn it into something cool. Also, there's print and play versions. So like, you can download a version that's already formatted for a booklet. You just have to kind of figure out how to print it out and staple it. And so yeah, go on itch and you can find all this stuff.
That is awesome. And that is one of the reasons that this game is featured on for this month's topic, which is low cost or free and affordable games that are good. Jim, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. It was really great hearing about some of the background behind this, and I really look forward to my future plays in this wonderful little game, and maybe even a hardcover one day as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Very welcome.